little trouble, as straps usually go. Here we're putting on my Levi strap, one of the best looking straps I've ever had. Comfortable and durable too. I would definitely get a Levi strap. But this video is not brought to you by Levi straps. I just will shout out about products that work for me. Hello, hello, hello. Mind's Eye. Visual guitar method. Hello, everybody. Try to look at my camera over there. That's designed to look at my guitar neck. When you see me looking up, I'm looking at my own guitar or my own screen here to make sure everything's looking good, like correcting paper there. So I guess we are pretty much starting our live broadcast now. All I've got to do is fiddle around with my screen here and bump up the YouTube chat window so that I can see if anybody is there to chat, ask a question, something like that. And I'll also need to change the title to reflect what we will be talking about today. So let's do all that. I've got to click on this thing here, the camera, go live, and we want, what is it? Classic live streaming is what we use. The computer's taking time here. And yeah, here's where we want to be. Shrink the window so that we can get the chat window up and see if anybody's watching. Okay, great. And we're right on 5 minutes, so right on time here. And yeah, the catering to the chord tones. We did that. Our last video here, as I changed this title, was catering to the chord tones, and I've been tinkering around with everything that I was going over in that last video, and I think I came up with some more ideas in ways I could present a video about that concept. But today, this morning, I was picking up my guitar, and I came up with a different lesson idea that I want to get started on here. And before I even do that, I wanted to say that, all I was doing was picked up my guitar, and I just start noodling now, but my noodling now is so much more meaningful than it used to be when all I knew was the pentatonic scale, and I had no grasp on music theory, and there was just always this, like, you'd hit a crappy note, you wouldn't know where the good notes are, why everything I played sounded just crap or dull or whatever. Nothing had any pizzazz, and maybe once in a while it did. So now when I pick up the guitar, I'm thinking more, and my thinking keeps changing. It keeps advancing. It's like a journey that you never stop learning. Kind of like when you drive a car. You think, when you get your license, that's it. But you really are always learning about driving. And we all realize that to a certain degree, ourselves. But anyways, I think more strategically, I guess, or just more analytically, more musically about where I am harmonically, what I'm doing, what are the harmonies, what are the melodies that I'm playing, and what are the chords suggesting. So definitely just thinking like that, putting bits and pieces of ideas that you start understanding, putting things together, definitely starts making your playing interesting, and it just kind of skyrockets from there. So today was no exception. I picked up my guitar, and I was kind of bored, and I was just noodling around, expecting not to find anything, and that's never the case. I'm always ready for this mind's eye visual method to fizzle out and just kind of leave me at a plateau or something. But and it may someday. Especially if I can start jumping off into real jazz territories eventually. But for now, it's based on where I've been. It's an endless road of constant surprise and exploration and just musical neatness. So today I was noodling around, and I was just I was trying a chord out that I had played the other day that I really liked. that cool? It's an unexpected root. It's just something totally different than I've ever played, and I would never have fingered anything like that until I started understanding the, how important shapes are on the guitar and how these shapes make sounds, and combining shapes and ideas like the shape that the chord that shape makes with different root notes. Pretty cool, huh? So, let's change the title here to, I'll show you what we're going to talk about today. Forgive my crudeness here. Fitting guitar chords, guitar chords. Do you know your guitar chords? Fitting guitar chords with scales. Even strange chords. So, yeah, that's that. All changes saved. Okay, so we're fitting guitar chords with scales. So, that was one chord, and maybe we'll work on that in a bit. I just was showing you something that I like there. I played this other chord today that was kind of similar to that one. I was moving the shape around, and I stumbled on this. It's just... You like that? I think it's just, a little bit more, A minor, A major, D, G. All good sounds, especially if you can muster up an okay tone on your guitar. But, I'm going to change some pictures here. Hold on, I'll get to my point in a second. But I've got to do some things here on my end of the screen here. Oh my gosh. Here's what I'm looking for. Shrink that down. Slide this over. So I've got the chat window here. Should anybody show up, nobody watching, hey, what do you know? But I'd like to thank, speaking of people watching, for anybody that might show up, I would like to thank my 703 subscribers. There's been another 2 or 3 lately, so I really appreciate everybody that is like, hey, I'll check out what you're doing when you do it. So, hey, thanks. And leave comments. Let me know, how does this help you? Does it do anything for you? Do you hate it? Does it, totally confuse you? What's the deal? So anyways, moving on. It was about fitting chords to scale. So I played this one chord. I just realized I can give it a couple changes there just by lifting this finger up and off the 3rd fret, 2nd string, 3rd fret, fretted, unfretted. So it's a busy chord. There's a lot going on there. And one thing about it, there's some serious dissonance in that chord. This chord contains a half step, and that's what I really like about this chord. I think that's pretty unique, that it sounds kind of mysterious while incorporating such heavy-duty dissonance. So let's hear it one more time. How did it go again? Where was I? Pretty neat, huh? It's so pretty that you just don't notice it. Here's the... There's complete fucking chaos in the middle of that chord. But I like it. It works. So, how does all that work? And what, just something else about it, there's a double root happening. For whatever reason, I don't know, I just think it sounds okay to double it up. Oops. There's just a lot of possibilities there. I liked fretting the A at the very top with my ring finger there to double up the root, but then letting go to create an A and muting the A string and just letting an E ring out for the top. I can picture a lot of solo ability, or creating that as a 2-chord backing track to riff over to entertain an audience for a few minutes while busking or something. So, what scale would you use over that? And so, what I did. I'll show you a couple things here. First of all, remember that real dissonant part of that chord. Oh, sorry. That actually does us a huge, huge favor in determining the scale, and I'm going to show you why here. If you remember on some of my other lessons about finding the key to any song, you'll know that what I teach is a real slick method is to find the half steps, because the half steps are key on a guitar fretboard, because the major scale pattern on a fretboard is built it's built like how do I say this? It creates an easy to visualize mental pattern of square boxes based on the half steps. So like a square box of notes being frets 7 and 8 on the second string, or fifth string. Oh, I don't know, was that 1? Are we calling that 6? I don't know, right? On the B string. That's how, yeah, much better. And the 7th and 8th frets on the E string, high E. So see how those all sounded consonant together, because that's how we're just in some scale pattern by finding the square. Now when that thing goes up the fretboard, the way it all works out is that the square shows up again, but it's broken. The half step will be here. Considering a space of 4 frets, like the first 2 would be the top string. Similar to the bottom of the what you might know as the Aeolian scale shape. So, God, I got an itchy nose. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I'm so sorry. That's like terribly disgusting, and I'm sorry to ruin your video watching experience with my personal problems here. But anyways, back to the guitar lesson here. In case you were wondering why all this was going on. Half steps. So let me draw this for you. I think that would just make less rambling here if I just kind of secure myself that my audience will know what I'm talking about if I just draw the damn shit on here. So we're looking for half steps when we want to create a major scale. If we find this box, we know we found our root note, our 7, our 3, and our 4. And all that we'll need is our 2 and our 5 and our 2 and our 6 will be right there. Oh, sorry. 2 and 6 will always be neatly and asymmetrically placed just beyond that box. And you have your whole major scale, and you have 11 of the 12 notes under your fingertips. I think the one note you're missing is right here. So anyways, that being said, we have that half step in that chord. So what I did was, all I really need to do is find out where the box lies around that half step. I'll say this another way. The another place up the, if you take this scale up the neck, it basically, this stacks, and if you take it vertically, you'll see the what appears to be this shifted square box shape, which is really just you seeing a sample of the scale that's occurring in in between the stack. If you really get the geometry here, that's will make total sense. But if you don't, then you'll be probably just like, what the hell did I just say? So let's just consider this scale shape right here. You have a half step here. So what I'm trying to say is that when you find a half step, you have one option. You're either gonna find out that your half step has a half step above it. You found your box. Or a half step below it, maybe your half step, maybe you were playing these two notes and these two notes sound great, so you found your box there. Like, let's say I was playing these two notes. These two notes were the, what's in that chord? Let's see, it's a, that's a F sharp and a G. F sharp, G. So, if this was, you'll either find that this is your F sharp in your G, or you'll find that this is your F sharp in your G, or like this was your F sharp in your G, and you've got another box above there, or vice versa. I think you can go the other way, but you get what I'm saying. So we got to find out. So we've eliminated a couple of possibilities here. So here's what I did. Let's try it this way. I think it'll go better, less rambly. So I started hammer tapping the notes in the half step up here. And I thought, okay, that would match in a scale. I mean, it should. It's in the chord, right? And of course, after the half step was a whole step. Sounded good. So a half step below a whole step up from the half step that we were playing. This is the half step that's found in the chord. And if we are a whole step above and a whole step below, will sound good, and they did. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 notes of our scale right now. We just need 3 more. So what we're going to do is tap above that note to see if those 2 notes sound good. We're going to tap below those notes, these notes right here. I'm going to tap the same notes on the string below or the string above to see which I like better in the chord. So here we go. All right, I like that. What we found is that we're playing an A chord in the D major scale. Sorry. Sounds pretty good. I even think we can get the other shapes to work too, because it's just one chord, and one chord can make its way into many different scales, especially scales that are closely related. What does it mean to have a scale closely related? Scales share notes. Some scales share more notes than others. So if you want some very specific details, two notes will share 6 notes with a 7-note scale. So there's, like, for example, when you're playing a C major scale, there's 2 other keys out there that will share 6 notes with that scale. So they're like really close. And it's super easy to know what they are, because guess what? Psst, remember the blues. Yeah, the blues. You know. Yeah, the blues. Well, guess what? You've heard the blues is 1-4-5. We'll never forget that, because 1-4-5 is so important in music. And the reason 1-4-5 sounds good, because guess what? The 4, if you totally changed keys to the note starting on the 4, shares 6 notes. If you change to the key on the 5, shares 6 notes, right? And the other from there, 2 will share 5, 2 other scales will share 3, 2 other scales will share 3 scales will share 2 notes, and that will take care of all 12 scales. And just to quell your curiosity, the 2 notes, or the 3 scales that only share 2 notes, the farthest polar different sounding scales you can play, again, totally fucking easy. Think about this. What's one of the most dissonant notes you can play when you play a note? A half step above, and a half step below, and the tritone. See how crazy those notes are? So, those, don't tell anybody. Those are the notes that only share 2 notes. If you change to a scale, a half step above, it only shares 2 notes with that scale below. And if you don't believe me, graph it all out, because you'll prove it for yourself right here on paper. But we're not going to do that today. I think I've done that in other videos, and we've gotten way off topic here. But I guess the topic was this chord will sound good, perhaps in other keys too. So let's try that out. Let's get to the point here. So we got our chord here. Let's finger it again. Double root here. Okay, we should spell out this chord too, but let's do that in a second, since I'm in the middle of talking about something else here. So, okay, so we figured out that this would fit in the key of G. This chord will fit in the key of D. We have an A root. So we're in Beirut. No. We have an A root note. So in a G, an A root note would mean this is a Dorian chord. Hey, Dorian's kind of cool. There's some Dorian over that. Yeah, like, what about D? Where's the A in D? Well, if we have a D note here, an A note is directly above. That's kind of cool, because then that turns it into a Lydian chord there. If we were in the key of D and we were jamming on something that was rooted in A, if it was strictly an A major chord, it would definitely be a Lydian sound if we play our solo notes in over using the notes of the key of D. However, this chord has some unusual chord tones in it, so that may alter that sound a bit, but probably not too much, since the root is A, and we could reinforce that in our what we would really have to that's sort of, if we were just using a guitar in the background, then that would satisfy the root, the A. But in a piece that you compose, you might have other instruments, especially bass related instruments, keys or bass, that are playing lower notes that are highlighting what the actual bass gravity tone is. And so you would be you could alter that by playing other, things in the bass. But in this case, if I was composing right now, I would use it like a low droning A note to just reinforce that double A in the chord. Okay, so final order of business. Let's see. We've basically what I've just discovered. Okay. It gets deep, since we're basically, by using the half step of this chord, which is these notes here, which are not the root note. This is F sharp and G, which is not the A. We're creating G. Like, for example, if we build our scale using a box based on the F sharp and G, and we put them in the box here, this is our root note box. We know that in our box shape, this is always a broken This is always the major scale root note. So I wanted to make that green. This will be a little more reliable here. We're not going to use colored pencils anymore. They're a little bit unreliable, and markers do a better job. So we just realized that graph paper method is now using markers. All right. Oh, was that off the screen the whole time? That's really terrible. Yeah, G is our root note. So of our scale, it's a parent note. So yeah, so then while we're droning A in a G, since we're accentuating A, we're accentuating the two note of the scale. So that would be Dorian, Ionian, Dorian, Ionian 1, Dorian 2. Should have that on a list somewhere. If you've always followed along with the graph paper method, you know to have made that list: 1 Ionian, 2 Dorian, 3 Phrygian. You just make this list once, and then you memorize it like I'm spitting out here: 4 Lydian, 5 Mixolydian, 6 Aeolian, 7 Locrian, and back to Ionian. Just memorize that. So you'll need to recall those note names to know that the 1, the 2, the 4, the 6 is all this jazz, and then from there you can recall your shapes, your graphs, which is really one system with some navigation points, I guess, one way to speak about it. So what I want to do is use this split idea. Let's try this. Hold on a second here. So here we got this chord. Okay, I like that too. So that worked. Okay, so I did this, right? This shape right here. I made it so my F and G were here, and I put the box here, and then that makes the, oh, that's dumb as fuck. That was the same thing as me putting the F and G here. So one and the same, because I just was looking at that pattern from a different perspective, same pattern. So basically, Yeah. But what if I don't think have we done it the other way yet? If we put the F and G here, and then we play the box down here, that would mean that this was the box up here, and we've already done that by putting the F and the G at the bottom of the box. So yeah. So no go. It's the same thing. So yeah, so then all you really got to do is, since the chord had a half step here, that was a really easy example. We could try the other example. But before we do that, I'm going to show you a little bit about spelling out a chord here. So let's graph that chord really quick. Let's make a guitar graph here. We're going to make the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Looking at the camera here, my monitor. E, B, what is it? G, D, A, E. It wasn't so easy to think about that backwards. I'm not going to make the complete fretboard here. Not necessary. We just have to get down to the 5th fret here to fret out that chord. 1, 2, 3, and 5. So we had an A fretted here. We had the open A fretted here. We were on the 4th fret here. So what's our 4th fret here? We have a D, an E, and an F, and an F sharp. So we have F sharp was our note there. Then we had our G. There's our half step. Our G's ringing open, and I think that's what helps. That half step is just it's an open ringing string, and just open ringing strings always seem to sound great in chords. How many times has your favorite guitarist fretted a string with open, fretted a chord with open strings ringing out? We are on the 3rd fret of the B string, so we are here going B, C. We have a D ringing out there. A D. Hence why the D major scale will work with this pattern, and as will the G major scale. And A major would probably work too. But we're going to see here, because we'll see if actually why, we discovered that in G this becomes a minor chord. So how can that be? Why can it be major and minor? Why are major and minor scales working over this chord? And could that sound cool in a composition, flipping between those? Oh yeah, it probably could. Or in like a looped jam piece where you loop this chord and jam over it. I think that's a definite possibility. I'm going to explore later today. But anyways, what do we have here? So we have an A, a D, an F sharp, and a G. So let's spell that out. We have A as the root, doubled up for that matter. So we're definitely sure that A is the root. It's the lowest note. We have an F sharp, a G, and a D. So what does this spell? Now D comes between these notes. Let's put that here. A, D, F sharp, and G. But however, this is ringing out higher than that. So what do we got here? So we got this is a root, right? So if we consider A the root, then what's the D note as far as an A note goes? Well, here is I can remember that. Like I don't really remember that like by name. Like D is always this to A. But I do know that this. Very simply put, A and D are next to each other on the fretboard. If I think about D, if I'm, think about D as my root note, what's above is always a 5. Below is always a 4, right? So what's ever parked above my note is a 4, and I'm looking for an A today, and A is parked above it, so that's always going to be my, I'm looking for a 5 today, and so there's a 5. Anyways, I wasn't looking for a 5, but I just wanted to know that we have a 5th right there. So that's, even though that's residing higher than some of these other notes, that's always going to be our 5th note, because that's how a 5th works against a root note. The 5 is always the 5. Some of the other notes, like a 3rd and a 2nd, will get new names, jazz-related. Like if you play the 2 in a chord, it'll be a suspended 2, especially because there's no 3rd. But if you play that up higher, it becomes an extension, like a 13th or an 11th or whatever. But we're not going into all that jazz terminology today. In case you wondered, though, trying to get to the explanation of why a fifth stays a fifth, no matter where it is in the chord, because fifth is rock solid. Fifth is your like strongest tone with the root, and yeah, it's just a very important interval in music. So learn your intervals, and this will all start making super easy sense. What are our intervals? Root. Here's our interval possibilities. Let's make a list up here, visible for all to see here. Root, flat 2, 2, flat third, making a minor chord. These are your steps: half step, whole step. These are your major and minor operatives. This is going to make a minor chord. This is going to make a major chord. Your fourth is going to be a suspended tone. It's Lydian. It's a lot of cool things. Your flat 5 is your devil's interval. Your tritone, you'll hear that a lot. Your diminished is what you're going to think there. Then you got your regular 5 right here. And there's your most important, when it comes to chords, that's your going away, coming back to the one chord, making all your songs, making so many songs sound complete out there. You hear a fifth in almost every song you ever hear. The root and the 5 are playing big roles. So you can know that one pretty easy. Your sharp 5. Once you get your 5 in your ear, you always know your sharp 5 sound has a certain augmented kind of sound to it. And then we have our 6 here, just a 6, Aeolian. It's minor when it comes to scale degrees, and when it comes to chords, it's just a nice ringing out sound. I think it's also doubles up as the 13th. So it's, major 6-9 chords. Got that kind of neat sound to it. I don't know if that was a 6-9 chord, but I'm pretty sure that had a 6 in it. So we're not gonna go there because we don't have time today to explore all those little tangents here. But so we have our flat 7th and our 7th, anyways, to give you a little tiny explanation for each of them intervals that makes them easy to explain. Is your 7th chords. You got a major 7th, right there, and then the flat 7th right there. And you can think of, major 7th is always about a major scale. It always pulls you back to the 1. Always likes to get resolved, but sometimes it's when you hear a Mixolydian scale, that's the operative right there. This has been changed to that. So little things you can know with each of these intervals to kind of give you a little functionality to them. So what you want to do is assign a little functionality bits of info to each of these, and they'll start being able to know, what these are in music, how they operate, what they do, and you really start to understand what everybody's talking about when they talk about anything related to music. When you start to understand the functionality of each and every interval, you have an assignment of 12. You have to make 12, or really 11, because you know what a root note is. You got 11 other possibilities from that root note. What do they do? What does everything do? All of these intervals are always in relation. These exist because of this root. So from this note, this one is this. From this root, this is what this is. From this note, 3 notes away creates this sound, and 4 notes away creates this effect in sound. They all have an effect emotionally based on the original starting note. Make sense? Let's move on. So we have an F sharp here. Where's an A to F sharp? Let's figure it out. So we got A. So, messing around here, getting my A note and a higher up F sharp. I can see just from my visualization of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. You have a 6 note right there. So an F sharp is a 6 as in this chord. It's functioning as a 6. So the F sharp, or I'm sorry, the G then must be functioning as the flat 7. So we have this really weird kind of chord here. It has a root and a fifth, a 6 and a flat 7th, and it sounds cool. Okay, sounds a little sparse. And yeah, judging by these intervals, there's some definite guts are left out of this chord, creating its sparseness. And here are those guts that are left out. And most importantly, notice the absence of the minor and major third. That is huge. That leaves this little chord open to your improvs, major or minor. And I think that's very, very useful in the way that you get, some backing reference chord and completely different happy versus sad scales. You can really make an interesting composition based on just using two different scales. And as we discussed, one of them is Dorian, and this one was what, Lydian? That sounds exciting to me. I'm going to definitely loop that in a little bit. Maybe we'll do that on video. Should we do that? It's 44 minutes. We'll go an hour here. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. And if you guys like this video, if anybody watches this and thinks this is cool, then you can ask me this. Hey, do this second chord, the B chord. Cool, man. Let's find out. Let's map that chord out, find out what the hell it is, and see what scale would go over that. But in this video, we're kind of dealing with this chord. Hey, I just noticed that I can play the same trick on this chord I was doing with the other one and get a neat effect. Reversing the position of my fingers here on the bottom two. So for example, the original chord plays this, second string, 3rd fret, and then 6th string, or 1st string, 5th fret. But then you reverse it and play it opposite. On the 2nd string, you play the 5th fret, and on the 1st string, you play the 3rd fret. Basically, that is a D power chord, D5. And what do we got here? We have a E minor 3rd, E and a minor 3rd. The top of this chord. But we're bringing a G out. Wow, lots of possibilities there. So that's why that will work in these situations. It's such a sparse chord. There's no second ringing out in there. There's this 6. So actually, what even is this? So root 5, 6. It would just basically be it's sort of a 7th chord. Maybe it's but there's no 3rd at all, so it's not a suspended chord because there's no 2 and 4, so I'm not sure how I would call that chord. Root 5, 6, and 7. I'll have to ask that on a music theory board and see what kind of terror I can evoke when people begin going crazy with music theory advice. Kind of like I do on this channel, right? So we're going to loop that and see about playing in Dorian and Lydian. So let's see about that. So just to refresh, if we were in since we have an A as a root note, And if we play a G scale, well, G occurs just before the A, so G would be the 1, A would be the 2. So that would be to Dorian. Okay, so we'll be in Dorian minor when we play in G. What else did we say we could play in? We could play in the key of well, if F sharp was the 4, or I'm sorry, if G was the 4, then D is the root, and D to A is Lydian, right? So yeah, well, I just got totally lost there. Oh yeah, we were in the key of D, because that would be F sharp and G. Is that right? Hold on a second. C sharp G. Yeah, Lydian. So we're going to be playing in basically a Dorian and a Lydian, meaning we're playing an A Dorian. We're going to create that from the parent scale of G, and the A Lydian we're going to use the parent scale of D, because as you can see, just to hammer it out for anyone who's lost, D being the 1, where's that A? So let's see, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. No, something weird just happened. Wait, did I mess that up? A is above. Oh, I totally messed up. So that wouldn't be Lydian. This would be Mixolydian. I'm glad I got through that, because I would not want to mislead you or talk to you wrong, and then you would really get confused here, because if you are starting to make sense of this, then that wouldn't make sense, because the 5 and the 4 is below, so D is above the A. So how did I just screw all that up? So let's see. Oh yeah, root's there, so oh, wait a minute, something is still messed up here. Okay, hold on. G. Okay, so that's the, yeah, okay, so that's not what we're talking about. That's the G, and we're over that. We've got that, definitely, if we play this chord, while we bring out the G, it's going to be somewhat of a Dorian sound. It doesn't have a minor note in the chord, so that's where we're going to miss that sort of Dorian tonality. But what I might do is during that part, try to sneak in on another instrument some background minor based stuff, minor third based stuff. So a minor third from A. So then it would definitely hammer out that really ring well with that Dorian sound, and then switch that to a major third when I want to play, when I switch keys there and play in, let's see. So I think I'm being Mixolydian then, so let's see. Yeah, 5. If we play in D, then I'm going to be playing a Mixolydian, so it's not Lydian. Well, Mixolydian's still major and got its own little twist to it, so I think it'll be cool to do Mixolydian and Dorian. I think that'll be a nice mix. So let's try it. See if I have a beat that'll even work here. Mixolydian sound. Cool, that was a Mixolydian. I'm going to re-record that to match the beat a little bit more. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Beat Buddy pedal, Digitech Jam Man Solo 2 looper, and this home built Strat, and me playing. What I don't know if you noticed. Did you notice? As we round 60 minutes here, that I shifted between Mixolydian and Dorian there. And if you didn't notice so much, there's a reason why. Then I kind of found this as in the middle of jamming. There's only one note difference between both of those scales. One note difference. So, for example, I started by using a Dorian shape. Okay, and if you place that shape here, I'm in the G major scale. By saying Dorian shape, it's basically what I'm saying is where I place that little square box that makes up the major scale that contains the root note of the scale, and that root note box is over G. If I place my root note box over a D note, which is where here, then I'm playing that same shape scale. I'm playing my box in a different part of the guitar, so I'm over D, I'm in D, this is D major. And A is in both of those scales, and it's a different relationship to the parent. So, for example, in G, A is the next note up, so it's the 2, it's the Dorian, and in D, it's the 5th note up, so it's the Mixolydian sound of that scale. So, yeah, there they are. There's both of those scales, but they, interestingly, they're close enough. They're related. They're so close, together that they only differentiate by one note. And as I was playing those shapes, I converged on the Aeolian shape, and I realized that Aeolian shape in one scale, in the G major scale, occurs where the Dorian shape is in the D major shape. So basically, they're surrounding the same pentatonic scale. That's why an E minor looking pentatonic scale will work over that chord. Let's try that. Yeah, E major or E minor pentatonic worked everywhere. And that's the shell that houses the Dorian shape and the Aeolian shape. What shape are we in if we take that G and take that into Aeolian? Oh, C major. And that would create that as a Aeolian minor 6, which you could probably do too. So yeah, so you can see how some chords will allow you to play a ton of different scales over them, and that's because while they got some interesting gut notes to keep them kind of sounding like a chord, they're actually quite sparse. Where have I heard that? Wait. That's the ending chord of a song. Oh my god, it's so familiar. that? Is that like Steely Dan or Rush or one of them bands ends with that. Oh, I'll hear it someday. Oh, that's coming. Anyways, I'll never think of it sitting here wasting your time online here. So I know everyone's got 10 minutes to watch, hours worth of videos here. So everyone's probably tuned out by now. So for anyone who didn't hang out this long and actually got something out of this video, just thanks for watching. I really appreciated it. I'm glad I could help you. Hey, howdy. What Red Walrus? When did you pop in? Are you there? Type in something if you're there. You're probably trying to put your guitar down, or you got your headphones on already, or you've already tuned out. But so we had a buddy here. Red Walrus showed up. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, there you are, Red Walrus. Cool. I just got your message there. Yeah. How you doing? Thanks for popping in. What'd you think about today's lesson? Did it work out? Like anything making any sense, or have I just gone off the deep end here? I feel like my lessons lately were kind of vague or just hard to follow, and just would leave some people going like, "What is this guy rambling about? Like, what the hell?" And that's the last thing I want. I want that guitar lesson where people are like, "Oh my God, finally somebody could explain this to me in a way I could imagine it." So I think this happens because some of these lessons I just don't want to say the same old thing I've always said, and I want to come up with something new. So I actually come up with something before I get on camera here, but it's still kind of like loose. The ideas are loose, and I'm just winging it as I go. And that leads to these being a little rambly. So yeah, we just came in at the end. Yeah, well, we just kind of basically, I think maybe got the title. I'm just trying to find out, like, when you get a random chord, how to fit a scale over it. And so what I did was I hammered up the just hammer up and hit notes. And if you don't like one, you're like, no, that's not in the scale. Oh, I like that one. So that one's in. You can noodle around and find them like that, but I showed an even easier way by picking up on the fact that this particular weird chord had a half step in it. Now, it's very unlikely that the chord you choose is going to have a half step in it, but the half step made it super easy to find our chord because finding half steps is half the battle of finding where your major scale is, because there's two specific half steps in every major scale. So if you find one, you're halfway to finding the scale that you need. And usually, or a lot of times, if the background is simple enough, both scales will work, as we showed you here, because there was no defining third in this chord. And that's why that all happened. So just kind of, I guess the ultimate point of this video is what you can see when you have a question, when you just finger something on the guitar and all of a sudden it's like, that's it. That's the chord that fits my mood. This is what I want to write a song about. But what the ultimate fuck is it? And you have no idea and you'd like to have some theory behind it. It's really not all that hard. Just graph paper it out. Find out what your root note is and then find out what the other notes are in relation. You should have a notepad that shows intervals and note relations and how it all maps out on your fretboard. It's really not hard to graph all that stuff out. And so I'm going to read your comment here. Red Walrus, it says, I've been focusing on learning all the notes on the fretboard and I almost have it. Hey, that's really cool. You want to know something like that's something I've never done. So for example, this note here, I don't know implicitly that string and that note. However, I just instantly went here. So that was a B. I just jump back to its closest root. So if I go here, it's a little harder because I'm way up on the, and I'm familiar. I just know that that's F sharp because I've just been around that's E so many times. F sharp. Oh, that was, G, right? No, it was F sharp. I'm fucked up. Sorry, E, F sharp, right? Haha. So that's cool. And tell me, Red, what has that given you anything like a cool new way of like a cool new sound or something that you can help you figure out chords way up there or know the extensions. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. I would think most guitarists don't. I know I definitely don't know them just like I said by other than a reference. Like let's like for here, I picked this note, so that's on the octave, so I know that one, and then just because I know my open strings, there's always like a relationship, but I never know that just because like, oh, this is definitely that. Some of them I know just because I've played them so long, like B, C, E, F is right here. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, and that's very helpful. And then, yeah. And I mean, a lot of people are communicating. They're just saying, well, hey, we need an F sharp, or that's the no, play the G sharp, not the G. So you're up here and you were noodling and something was wrong. You could instantly know that to play what note was the good note and the bad note, or whatever, something like that, I guess. All right, well, hey, that's cool. I guess to keep the lesson size down so anybody will ever click on it, because I'll never click on something like an hour long. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. I got about 20 minutes before I'm going to fall asleep here, so skip that video. So I'm going to, I guess, cut out here, and I guess the rain is clearing up here. I don't know where you are. I'm in western New York here, and kind of rainy. Dampened my plans. I was going to be at visiting some park where there's all these gigantic rocks in a forest, and you can go like look and climb and whatever. But I skipped that because it was so rainy today. Yeah, hey, you're welcome. Thanks for showing up. I appreciated it. Yeah, I was gonna go do that today, but it was so rainy, so I was like, hey, I know, go live because that's what I really should be doing, right? Contributing to my channel that I'm hoping to grow here. Yeah, thank you for showing up, Red, and contributing like you always do. We always appreciate that. I'll try to make a standard time to go live sometime soon here, and maybe we'll catch more visitors by getting a standard time to go live, like every Monday. It might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday at like 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm thinking, I don't know, but let me let you go and just tell everyone to have a great day. And thank you for watching again. We'll be back on soon, maybe later today. I hope later today, but probably not. See ya.